So I was introducing everyone and explaining the purpose of the discussion. The idea is to have a discussion panel online between us to figure out both the current impact of the crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, but also to figure out what can be the actions we can take right now as the coworking industry. Hello. And second, to see also what we can do to prepare the aftermath, because yes. Hopefully any crisis is at hand, and then we will get out of our homes and our caves and our bunkers within a few weeks, and then we'll have to see how the world looks like and for the co-working space and how we can address the situation. So first of all, thank you all for being with us. So my name is, for those who don't know me, Jean-Yves Huwart. I'm the organizer of the Coworking Europe conference and also the CEO of Social Workplaces, which is the umbrella company of the conference. I will let you introduce yourself, but first of all, this panel, first of all, is the initiative of Nir, who got in touch with us from Tel Aviv saying, hey guys, we need to do something. And we say, yeah, of course we need to do something. And let's start with the discussion. Thom from Amsterdam joined us. We thought it would be great to have also the representative of independent workplace brands from the Netherlands. Lies, if some people still don't know Lies, she is the brain behind GCUC, close friends. We have been working together for so many years, and GCUC, the global co-working and conference. No community, so important to notice, who is with us from Austin, Texas. And then Paula from LOOM Co-working, who is in Madrid. Madrid, where we're going through a very difficult time. We all are, but it seems for the moment in Spain is really one of the most difficult areas for the moment. So we can start with giving the word to every one of us just to introduce ourselves and maybe give a word about how you are going through the crisis for the moment. So maybe we can start with you, Paula.
Right. So Paula Almansa, I'm from LOOM Madrid. It's my brother and I are co-founders of LOOM. We've been in the co-working industry for about 10 or 12 years. And LOOM has been around for 4 or 5 years. So this is the second venture we have in the co-working field. Everything for us has happened really fast. We saw it coming from China. We saw it happening in Italy. But the reality is that it's happened very, very fast. So what happened is that from Friday, people have to stay at home, and it wasn't very clear what the measures were going to be. So what's happened with us is that people are confined at home, but technically the decree says that you can go to work. So it opens for us the issue of, okay, what do we do with the physical spaces? So if you want, I'll let everybody introduce themselves, but the points that I want to make are, what we have addressed is 2 different blocks. One is operations. So how do we cope with this? What are the measures, the minimum measures that we need to take according to the legal situation, plus what additional measures we want to take out of our own responsibility to make sure that we minimize the impact and to guarantee the safety of our users and our team. So that's the operations. And then the other side is retention, because normally attraction is difficult. Retention tends to be a bit easier, and I'm not ready to let go of all the community and the amazing community that we have created just because of the situation. So for me, it was very important to figure out how we can support all the different individuals and the different teams that are really suffering through these times. So this is the 2 big blocks that I'm happy to discuss.
Okay, Brent. Liz, do you want to tell us a bit about the situation in the US? So you had to cancel GCUC USA, unfortunately. That's
well, we didn't cancel it. We just moved it.
Yeah, right. So in short notice, can you tell us a little bit about the situation in the US with the co-working industry?
It's kind of just starting to happen here in the US. Just in Austin in the last week, we were all told to stay home. But it's pretty much happening all around the nation and accelerating quickly. We did postpone GCUSA. It was supposed to be in April, and we've moved it to July with the option to push it later if we need to. We also postponed GC Manchester, and we're sort of just kind of holding and waiting on all the other conferences right now, and really just moving everything to see what we can do to support our community online and to help the industry at large, and to do things like partner with you guys, which is awesome. And you know, I think the question we all have to ask ourselves in these times is like, what can I do to better serve the community? And that's the question we just ask ourselves all every day, and that kind of guides what we do.
Perfect. Great. Thom, please let us know how things are going for you with StartDock and the situation for the industry.
So to continue your introduction, first of all, Nir and Jean-Yves, lovely initiative to get some people together to internationally discuss this topic, since it's can definitely create value for all of us. Thanks for that. I'm currently in our co-working space in Rotterdam. So StartDock has 3 co-working locations, 2 in Amsterdam, 1 in Rotterdam. I'm currently in the location. We are not in a what we call a lockdown internationally. So we're still in the Netherlands, we're still allowed to travel, but the amount of infections and the amount of deaths is increasing day by day, harder and harder. So what we see within our community is all the events and meetings have been canceled. All the month-to-month contracts slowly get canceled as well. And the first 2 offices have been canceled today as well. So we see people leaving our spaces, and those are especially the people in branches or in sectors that get hit first. So one was in travel, and the other was in catering, so horeca. So yeah, we see the impact. What we did so far is yesterday we brought all the furniture of our tenants to their houses for free, so that they can optimally work at home for free with our furniture, which was quite a cool action. And we're setting up some sort of a coupon action with the entire community. Well, to sell the products and services of all our tenants, like right now, to create some liquidity for the tenants, which they will deliver on a later moment in hopefully this year, hopefully not next year, but this year. So these are the 2 actions and the 2 measures that we have taken as a company up until now. But we can still, our tenants can still come to the locations, which they don't do that much. But yeah, we're still allowed to travel in the Netherlands.
So it's almost like you creating a kind of local currency between your members. Okay.
Yeah.
That's been told that it could be. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And the furniture, you mean that you bring their own furniture? You mean the laptop, the screens, the furniture they have belonging to them back to their home, right? Okay.
Yeah. So a desk, a chair, and their screens if they prefer to.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, Nir. Tel Aviv. I read that already 1 week ago. When would you like to go to Israel, you would be put in quarantine for 2 weeks, just arriving. So you have taken measure quite rapidly there. How are things going for you?
So actually, we as a brand operating 7 locations in total.
Brand Embassy, yes. So you are
Embassy. One of them is over here in Tel Aviv. 4 of them it's in Warsaw, and another one that we're supposed to open in the 1st of April in Antwerp, Belgium. Current situation is here in Tel Aviv. Basically, the government decided to be on top of the virus from the very beginning, and we had like a couple of restrictions in very early stage, let's say, and now we are facing even a situation accelerating. We are facing more restrictions, but basically people can go to work over here. It's not recommended, but it's still allowed. if you keep distance of 2 meters between one another and no more than 10 people at the same space. In Warsaw, it's pretty much the same situation. People are going to work over there, but you know, maybe 10% of our members, or as we call them, brainers, visit our spaces. In Antwerp, we basically start marketing the place, but a lot of people doesn't want to come to for viewings no more, which we absolutely can understand. So what we did in a very early stage, we announced that we are going to take on ourselves to put our spaces in a very hygienic way. We delivered like this alcohol to wash the hands. We put them all over the space. And we ask our cleaning company to use special materials in order to make the space clean with antibacterial materials, etc. But as Thom mentioned, we'll start facing members that would like to terminate the agreements, or they are just wondering what is our policy for the near future, as they are facing lack of revenues. A lot of their customers terminate their agreements, and they are saying, we don't want to leave you, we want to stay, but it's a difficult time for us, you must understand. In Warsaw, we actually are facing a different atmosphere, that people doesn't want to work from home. Children are not going to school, so parents need to be at home, and they want to escape from there. And we actually had some prospects that came knock on our doors saying, I want an office and I want it now. And this came to me by a surprise. So over there, the situation is more stable, but we don't know what the next day will tell us. I heard the Prime Minister of the Netherlands saying that the news in these days travel faster than the speed of light. So I'm monitoring very closely the situation. And it hit me this week that beside being concerned on my business, that of course, you know, it's the first priority for me, I'm also concerned about the industry itself. Because let's say we were used to hear positive news about the co-working industry overall, okay? All the news was speaking about how this industry is expanding very fast and it's not in trend. It's here to stay and it makes sense for freelancers, for individuals, for SMEs, and also for corporates. And in the past week or so, I was also facing a lot of negative talks and negative articles that saying that in these days people should keep distance between one another, and maybe co-working it's not the right solution for them, and maybe working from home better makes sense to people. And I think it's our responsibility, first of all, to take care about our business, share knowledge, etc., and to better position our industry, which at the end of the day is here to stay anyway.
Yes, it's exactly what we aim to address just in the second part of this discussions. What's the next for the industry and to defend it? You might have read yesterday, I think, that SoftBank was considering to lower the support to the WeWork bailout that they had planned to offer, which is also worrying for the whole industry, because just due to the virus, some people start to doubt about the model, whereas we think the model is very sound and very which the model fits definitely the needs of today's. But I propose that we might switch to this a very important area just after. But let's finish maybe with the what can we do now. So Thom mentioned the coupons ID. You mentioned sanitizing all the space and everything, the lower access. Paula, you mentioned the retention.
I have two blocks that I'm happy to share with you, because unfortunately, we were like dumped on the situation without a lot of time. And I actually also, something that I do is I speak with my competitors here in Madrid to share best practices, and this is a time to be together, so we tend to share what's happening. In the operational side, we comply with the regulations. So what we did is, of course, close down any events, any gatherings, any meetings, any programming, anything. So what we did is, our main pillars and our speech is based on space, community, and programming. So what we said is, right, the spaces are not going to be used in the same way that they used to be, but our spaces are still open, because legally people are entitled to go to work. If they cannot work remotely, they are entitled. So I cannot say who goes and who doesn't go. I have to allow people to go. So what we've done is replicate the situation as in weekends. So normally our spaces are open 24/7, and they are serviced with some hosts from 9 to 6 or 9 to 7 p.m. And from then on, then the users, at their own responsibility, they use the space. So what we did is we sent a letter to everybody saying, right, so you have the email and the telephone of your host. If you plan to go to the space, let us know, because we need to keep control of who's accessing the space for cleaning and for sanitizing reasons. And then if you need the physical presence of a host for any major reason, let us know. But otherwise, you have your key, you go there, you just make sure that you make a proper use of the space. The reality is that nobody's going, or barely anybody's going. So all the teams already did foresee what was coming. So they got organized in a way that they could work remotely. And only in the first 1 or 2 days, there may have been people who needed to grab their computer or get some papers or something that they had left in the space and they needed to get. But there hasn't been a lot of people going to the places. So we do on a daily basis. We have 6 spaces open in Madrid. The 7th is opening in the next month. And then 2 spaces running in Barcelona, with 2 more that are with the works in progress. So the ones that are open, what we do is every day in the morning, there's a report from all the hosts saying who has coronavirus and in the population, so that we also keep the record of who's infected. Thank God there hasn't been a lot of people infected, but it's important to keep track of what's going on so that we can communicate to the rest of the users for their own health reasons. So, and who has access. So there's a control of that. And in reality, people are not making use of the space. So that's like the first block of operations. Then, everything is working remotely. The LOOM team is working remotely, and so on. In terms of programming, so that we do not say, okay, programming is gone. What we've done is move it to online. So if you want to do a chat, a course, anything, that's still done, but is done online. And then the third block, and that goes with retention, is the community. We are very proud of the Loomers, and we're very proud of saying that we have a very strong community. And so the fact that we cannot physically be together doesn't mean that we're not a community, but more the reverse. We are stronger and more connected than ever, being apart and supporting each other. So what we've done is, I personally have spent the last 3-4 days actually making phone calls to as many teams as I can. So phone calls nonstop, and my phone calls go in different directions. Is how are you? How's the business? How's the people, like health-wise? You, family, and so on. So like I personally do care about what's happening. I want to know also what's going on with your business, or get a feeling of what's happening. And that was before confinement, so that I would know exactly what we could offer as a retention measures, figuring out what was going to hurt to them. So I got a sense of the community. And then after I got the pulse or the feeling of what was going on, there's obviously a lot of different teams. Some of them, the ones that handle physical materials, they are completely screwed up, and sorry for the language, but they are in deep problems. Some of them have goods that are traveling and they are in the port of Valencia and they're going to come here. A lot of people have canceled everything. So they are in bad shape. Some of the ones that provide services, same. So some of them are in pretty bad shape, and some others are coping okay. So getting that feeling allows us to also see what we can offer and propose to them. Then we go to the retention. By the way, making phone calls make people feel that somebody cares. So it's not just the bullshit speech of we are a community, la la la. No, it's like I spent
personal commitment.
I spent from 9 a.m. last night. I was talking to someone.
Interrupt for just 1 second. I'm really sorry, Paula. Unfortunately, I had a miscommunication on some timing and I have to run to another call, but I really appreciate you guys bringing me in on this. And if there's anything I can do to help or support you, please let me know. And let's just all stay well. And thank you. Carry on.
Liz, do you want to add something on the retention thing, a tip or something?
I've got a lot coming out on retention. We're actually recording a crowdcast in 10 minutes on it that'll be out and available to everybody. But I do want to say something real quick about the co-working globally. And I think this is our moment. I really believe that with everybody figuring out that they can work from home and corporations having to diversify their teams globally, that this is when co-working will actually accelerate out of the gate more than ever. You just got to get through the next couple of months, grit your teeth, get through it, because this is where the good stuff is going to really happen, is once we're through this and everybody figures out that this is the way that everybody is choosing to work globally. So there is a silver lining at the end of all this.
Thanks a lot, Liz. Thanks for joining.
Ciao, y'all. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Sorry, Paula. We go ahead. So you were telling about the personal commitment and the fact that
maybe I'm extending myself too much. It's just like sharing the what we're actually doing. So
no, I think I think for everybody it's very worthwhile.
Okay, just to finalize with this, what we've done is segment the different teams that we have, because some of them are large corporations that have some of their teams with us, and honestly, even if I give them a discount, the impact it's going to have on the big P&L is negligible. And for me, giving discounts is something that really hurts. So what we've done is we focused on the community of entrepreneurs, smaller teams. There are teams that are actually larger, but they are very entrepreneurial because they started with us, and we're offering them a discount. So we're giving them a discount for at least for 1 month, and then it's open to see what happens next, because everything's so unpredictable that making commitments without having visibility doesn't make sense. So what we said is, okay, we really want you to stay with us. We want to honor our commitment, our word, that we want to honor our values of responsibility, of sharing, of everything. So we want to share the pain as well. Not that we want to share, but we feel that it's our responsibility to share a bit of the pain. Something that makes LOOM a bit special is that we integrated ourselves with a very large publicly listed company a year ago. So we are lucky that we can stand 1 or 2 months of decreasing revenues. Obviously, it's not for free, and it's something that hurts, and it has a big impact in our numbers. But in terms of attraction and retention, we think that morally it makes sense to support people, and normally in difficulties, if you stand by someone, they will always keep that in mind, and it always pays back. So that's kind of morally, but it's, even if we just do it logically and rationally, it also makes sense because retaining is cheaper than attracting. And in any case, if people leave, that space is going to be open. There's nobody at this moment that wants to take a desk. So in any case, if somebody goes, the space is going to be empty. So I'd rather make a fraction of the money or some discounted money from what I would normally make, just make sure that that person is happy, and make sure that when things get back to normal, which will happen eventually, those people stay with us, and they stay with a bigger degree of stickiness to us because they felt that somebody cared. So caring is discount, so there's the economic part, and caring is also making this round of phone calls, making myself available to support them in anything. So almost like consulting to them, I listen to them, I introduce them to whoever can support them, and so on. So there was already a big network and a very strong network, and that is intensifying at the moment.
Guys, what do you think about this discount, for instance? What should co-working space do? Is it indeed something? So, for instance, in our space, people are not showing up. So, indeed, they have a subscription. They are not showing up, so they feel like they pay for a service that they don't use. It's not that they are stolen from it, but indeed, you have this perception that you are wasting your money for something that is definitely needed now. What would you recommend on your side as well, Thom and Nir, for that? Should we curve our back and say, okay, let's give also, be supportive from financially as well? Does it make sense? Or after all, we are all small businesses as well, and we need to pay our bills.
I tell you, the response that I'm getting from all these phone calls is an extreme degree of sympathy and empathy from the users. So what I was predicting is that this was going to happen sooner or later. So eventually people are going to run their numbers, and they're going to see that they are in financial difficulties. So the first thing they will think is, okay, I'm going to cut on something that right now I may not need, and then we will see. So foreseeing that, I decided to anticipate and respond myself with a discount, because then you never reach the phase where someone is physically leaving. I think that when somebody leaves, it's more difficult to get them back on board. So if you say, okay, pay me, and this is what you guys have to decide in terms of segmenting the type of users you have, the financial backing that you have as well, so how much you can afford to give us a discount, but sell it from an emotional side as well. So what I think really saying, this is not for free, I'm suffering as well, so I see my revenues are declining, and as you can imagine, my business is very intense in OPEX and CAPEX. So for me, this is definitely not good news, but we want to share your pain because we want to support you. And then people tend to somehow say, okay, it's gonna cost me less than I thought it would cost me. I see that there's some support. I see that the community kind of works, and so far the response is being really, really, really positive. And I've run 20, 30 phone calls, and it's been very good, the response for everybody. And basically, if somebody still has to leave, such is life. I mean, like if somebody is really, really, really broke, then the response will be, the door is open, I wish you the best, hopefully in the future, anything that I can do for you, please let me know. And yes, come back.
Thom, you are an independent space, and you're also backed by a bigger real estate company. So Thom, what do you think? What do you think about that? Is it something you are considering? Is it something you prefer not to do? How do you see that?
Yeah, so I don't believe in discounts, neither in these times or in better times. So we will never work with a discount. What I did is I contacted all my landlords. So we have a traditional lease contract with our landlords. We don't own the spaces, which Nir does. So Nir has a different view on this, I think, in a bit. But what we intended to do is we contacted our landlords and asked them, like, hey guys, can we freeze our rents so that we can freeze the rents of our tenants for the upcoming months? And our landlords are willing to do that. So this saves me, like, for instance, in the building where I'm now, it saves me 20K a month. And I can just push this 20K forward to our tenants. So they can freeze their payings as well. And this works really well. Like, tenants are really happy with this message. Like, okay, so I don't have to pay for the upcoming months. And I say, well, you have to pay, but later on, when this crisis is all gone, then we'll see how we'll get there, and we'll make sure that you have some sort of a payment schedule for the upcoming time. And probably, well, if that doesn't work in the near future, like if we cannot, like our rent is being forwarded monthly right now, and this adds up. So if it's going to be too much, then we'll have to see what we do. So for now, it's like postponing the problem. But then we save ourselves time in terms of liquidity to find solutions with both our members and our landlords. And we have investors. So we have 7 people who invested in our company, not for stocks, but for it's a loan. So they have a loan for 5 years with an interest rate on it. And we actually stopped paying back the loan, and we stopped paying interest now, which is also done in coordination with these investors. So those are our financial measures, and they work really well. Like, in terms of liquidity, we can go forth for the next 6 months.
So it's really about reducing your fixed cost base as much as possible to go through the hard time right now, and then just figure out later and engage with your stakeholder from that perspective. Yeah. Nir, what do you think of it?
So in my case, as Thom mentioned, things are a bit different because basically we are a real estate company that we own the offices, and we operate the co-working spaces, the Brain Embassy, within our own locations. So if I will go backwards to my landlord, basically, it's my boss that manage all the business. So it's a pro and a con, So basically, what you guys mentioned makes sense to me, and we do the same. And when we speak about retention, we are now more flexible in terms of payments, meaning customers that reach up to us with the limit cash flow, we allow them to postpone the payment of the rent. And in some cases, give a discount, a temporary discount, saying, okay, we can reduce the upcoming rent for April, for example, but now you're getting a benefit. And if you decide to leave us within the upcoming months afterwards, you will need to pay us back. If you will stay, then it's okay. So it's another tool we are considering to support our community. Also, we are very active within our community. We speak with them, we contact them. We have a position, we have a program for our community. So we have a position that she's in charge of all of our events, and now all of our events are in the Zoom. She conducts webinars. It's another example. My concern is when, as Paula mentioned, when tenants knock on your door saying, we are lack of cash, we don't have money anymore. So this is a problem. And for this one, in Israel, we have a fund that the government established that independents can have up to 125,000 euros. So, and you need to apply. So basically what we are trying to do is to help them make all the applications to the fund, because sometimes you need an accountant, you need more professionals. Some of our tenants use professional consultancy, but then they have to pay. And we as a real estate company have those guys on board. They are working for us. So what we ask them is to help our tenants to get those application on boards. And by that, our tenants and members can get like funds for their business to put them in a better situation. And if they are in a better situation, we are in a better situation.
So it means also that taking all the line, the business line for co-working space, so we can manage the cost base through negotiating a rent postponement.
In some cases.
Yes, ask your investor or your banks or your loan provider for its postponement for the repayment of your own loan. So, but also deal with the work on fixing the cash situation of your own tenants, the way you mentioned. So either by discounts, either by some other kind of help, either by being an intermediary to help them to reach out to the support. I read that in Spain they announced 200 billion euro, if I read properly, to support local businesses. In Israel, I don't know how much. And the Netherlands, I haven't seen something, but I assume that it will be similar. In Belgium, they announced a lot of different small measures, but it's true that the paperwork could become very, very big. So that leads us to the aftermath. So let's say that the crisis lasts like 2-3 months, 4 months, 5 months. We don't know, because there is also this summer cliff that everybody is fearing. What should we do after? Because as we said, it's about the tenant, it's also about the meeting room revenue, it's about the events. Everything has been cancelled. Nothing in the pipe. So I don't know you, but for us the pipe is totally empty now. What should we do when we see the sun rising again? Who wants to take this one? Paula, yeah.
I'm happy to. So once we've worked on retention of what's existing at the moment, and by the way, just a general comment, I didn't mean discounts forever. It's just a temporary discount for a month,
sure.
And then we take it from there. So a discount, a bonus, call it whatever you want, but it's just like a, we forgo a part of the payment. And then going back to attraction, we see a positive side and the light at the end of the tunnel, in a sense that when we started with co-working 12 years ago, everybody, at least in Spain, perceived co-working as something very kind of hippie, like people who didn't have money went to these type of spaces because you couldn't afford anything better, so you were kind of a loser almost in the eyes of everyone else.
It was for homeless.
Yeah, like if you're there, it means that you cannot afford anything else. Then it became a lot more cool, but still for entrepreneurs, more hipster, more like innovation type, and so on. And what we were seeing in the last year and something is that a lot of corporations were now starting to understand the benefits of flexible work. But it was only the pioneers within the large corporations. Now, a good thing is that a lot of the very traditional companies have been forced to understanding and living in a different way of working. Before, they would say like, there's no way flexible space is impossible. Letting people telework is like, because they're gonna be procrastinating all day and whatever. And it's like, well, I don't see it like that, but whatever. Like, it was the mindset, at least in a lot of big corporations in Spain. I think that now with the experience, the first experience, they're gonna realize that it can be extremely efficient from all angles to have flexibility, because if you're engaged in Spain, lease commitments are 5 years. And whatever you do, you have the space for 5 years, If the size of your business increases, then you're in trouble because you need to expand. And how do you do that? If it doesn't go well and you need to decrease, you're also in trouble. So you're always in trouble unless you can really nail your physical needs for space, which is very difficult to do for 5 years. So I think that people are going to start realizing the benefits of flexibility in terms of space, in terms of payments, because you only pay, I mean, with some corporations, we ask for a year commitment, and that's like the maximum thing we ask for. But, you know, we don't, you know, the deposits and guarantees and so on, it's not as large as for traditional space. So there's a flexibility, financial flexibility, there's flexibility in space. We say, like, we grow with you, we decrease with you, we just go with you in whatever you do. Obviously, they have to give us a bit of pre-warning because it's difficult to get a space for 300 people from one day to another, but technically we can do that. And then flexibility in the mindset, in the culture. So the biggest change is that I think that we were now aiming at a product that it's space as a service. We call it LOOM as a service. So the dedicated spaces, it's something that I think is gonna start being understood much better by larger corporations. And this is a business that aims at both, like small teams, small people, but it really aims at large corporations. And a big chunk of our business comes from that. So it's a fewer number of large corporations, but in magnitude, they're pretty large. And then philosophically, we always say that we want to transform society, the way people work, live, and relate to each other. So this is the perfect timing because unfortunately, through a virus that has shaken society and has shaken all of us and has shaken our world, everybody has to be ready to, you know, rethink what's next and how do we do next. So I think we are in a perfect moment to attract all those people who are now starting to realize that yes, you can work from, not necessarily from home, but from different locations and nothing happens, and you can have flexibility in terms of
that's this dual experience that a lot of people are going through now due to the crisis, that they both see that teleworking is something which works and people indeed don't procrastinate all time, but also that home working is terrible. As Nir was mentioning, that some people were just escaping their home because they couldn't just concentrate. You have so many memes now online that's joking about how difficult it is to work from home, and definitely there was a kind of switch might happen that can be just a demonstration that co-working is just the obvious model. Okay, Thom, what I was about to ask you, what could be the next step just after when the sun rises again, for also for the meeting rooms and for the event. So have you already thought about it? How do you see that happening?
Well, the government here, and I think everywhere in Europe currently and around the world is in a discussion about how long this can potentially take, and what kind of measures the government has to take in order to either lengthen or shorten the time that this will take for everybody to get through. And currently, people are thinking about 6 months to a year, which is hard for a lot of businesses to survive. Although some of the governments say, okay, we're not going to let any of our companies go bankrupt due to this crisis. So currently, the status is actually that we just don't fucking know how long this is going to take. We have no clue. It's going to take either 6 months, either 3 months, either a year. It can probably take even 2 years if we don't have a vaccine in short time. So
if we don't have
dying,
waves,
people are getting sick. We don't know what the world is going to look like. So normally you can like make a quote and you can just see where your company is standing over 3 months. Now it's just guessing. And even if you guess, your 95% of your guesses will be totally wrong. So I can't tell anything about the future. We have to do what we can do now. We're thinking about ways to support our community to get them into the picture. We're thinking about new business models that we can dive into right now. But the co-working business, especially when people are not allowed to leave their houses or are advised to stay at home, yeah, the co-working business is doing nothing up until that moment. And I agree with Paula that the awareness in people's minds about working at home, remote working, teleworking, it's awesome that our business gets supported in that way, and that people get aware of the fact that you can easily work from somewhere else. That can be a positive impact. I also think a positive impact can be people will be willing to go flexible again, which is co-working grew very hard in the last financial crisis. I think this is an opportunity for us again. People will want to go flexible after this period of uncertainty. So yeah, afterwards I think we will be boosted again. But during this crisis, we're not in a nice
too early to say.
Just as the rest of the people.
Nir, what do you think about that? Do you already have board meetings saying, okay, this will be the roadmap just starting June to conquer the world?
So let me tell you something. You know, in the Bible, it's saying that predictions is for the fools. So only if you are a fool you can predict. So I don't want to be a fool. And if you don't believe in the Bible, I don't have a crystal ball, right, to predict what is going to happen. But I don't know, there is a very smart man, his name is Bill Gates. I don't know if you've seen his TED lecture from 5 years ago, exactly 5 years ago, 2015. And he spoke about this epidemic, about some epidemic that you saw that, Thom?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It's amazing, huh? You know, how we predict, let's say, almost precisely, and he warned the world that we should be
not ready.
prepared for this kind of thing, and I guess that we didn't do it. And the same Bill Gates mentioned that by taking steps to prevent this virus, things will be better between 6 to 10 weeks. So this is what Bill Gates said. So if he said that, so you know, he might be right. Let's hope he'll be right. What I can say is that I don't see governments supporting the business or supporting companies for in the long term. Okay, so if we speak about months or even years, I don't see governments able to support business and companies and individuals. And I will share with you the situation that now is happening in Israel, for example, that every day, I don't know, the corona patients their number is rising between 30, 50, 100, 100 something people, but the unemployed people that are going out to the market with losing their jobs, it's around 50,000 people a day, okay? So imagine this number, 50,000 people a day, almost each day are losing their jobs, okay? And they are losing their jobs, they are forced to stay at home with their families, okay, doing nothing, they are worried, they hear the news, and the news, it tends to speak about the bad things, okay? And I will give you an example when I'm saying that. In Italy, for example, we see, unfortunately, a lot of casualties from this virus. The number is around 3,000. But I want to share with you something. Anybody of you know how many people die in Italy in an average year? It's an interesting
1
number.
million?
600,000 people die in Italy every year. Okay, you can assume that in the winter months, this number doesn't go in a linearic way. It succeeds, but let's assume it goes linearic. So within a month is 50,000. Within a day is 1,800 or 1,800 people dies in Italy average in an average day. Okay. In these days, they are speaking about 3,000 that people die because of the virus in 2 or 3 weeks. But the news doesn't compare this data to the previous year. Okay, what happened in the previous year in the same months? Okay, how many people died in March 2019, 2018? They're just giving you the dramatic news, breaking news. 400 additional casualties because of the coronavirus. So people get panic. People are afraid. People have uncertainty, and as I mentioned, they are losing their job. Okay, the news keep pushing up dramatic notification, and if you ask me, this causes much more effect than the virus itself. So I believe that people should have this information, and we are trying to share this knowledge and information with our community to give them. I'm reading a lot about this virus because it gives me a lot of interest, but I'm trying to read more and hear more point of views and share it with my relatives and with my employees and with my customers, for them to have better knowledge about the situation, because panic, it's not good for human beings, let's say. Okay, so this is like a social responsibility that I believe that it's very important in these days, to share the knowledge and to share the information and to give perspective. Okay, and if you look at the number, each casualty, you know, it's a disaster, but we need to keep up the proportions. And if we are speaking about numbers, let's compare the numbers. Let's see the reasons. And I saw an article from Bloomberg from yesterday saying that 99.2 of the cases, of the casual cases in Italy, were people with another disease, another background disease like diabetes, heart disease, etc.
It remains that we have to cope with it. That's a panic, rational or irrational. We have to cope with it and deal with it. I wanted to end, because it's almost 1 hour that we have been having this great talk. With you, Nir, we discussed about the fact that the industry lost its biggest voice. So we like it or not, Adam Neumann was the guy who was really making coworking visible globally, and also making coworking creditworthy from in the eyes of real estate, government, local authorities. So we said, okay, now that they went through these troubles, how can we make sure that the coworking industry becomes more visible and becomes a counterpart with other guys? And it might be just maybe federating our strengths. Maybe it's doing conversation online as we do. Do you have some an idea or perspective on that? Maybe Paula or Thom?
In Spain, what we do is that I meet regularly, and I have discussions with the CEOs of the other 5 operators. So we tend to discuss, not to coordinate prices or anything that's illegal, but just to see in terms of visibility, what we can do for the city, what, like how we can create awareness, and it kind of works. And then personally, my impression is that there will be consolidation at some point, as there's been in any new industry. Eventually there's always consolidation. there will be specialization as well, because now when we started, or the concept of co-working could be anything from I don't know, like someone who has 3 spare desks and they put it online because they want to make some extra revenue, to someone who's spending millions in refurbishing spaces, and everything falls under the same umbrella. So I think there will be specialization, there will be some consolidation, and then something that, if we are truly as cooperative as we claim to be, then there could be some sort of confederation or something, because I really believe that supporting each other, it's something that is going to enhance revenues and is going to enhance the experience also for our users. So I think it's also an opportunity of the market is maturing, and it still has a way to end its maturity.
Brilliant. So much. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so this morning I had a meetup with some entrepreneurs behind co-working spaces and chains in the Netherlands, and they also asked sort of like the same question as you just did, Jean-Yves. So how can we collectively give a voice to our sector, to show the world, which we all believe, we all know that we are here to stay. And I think it's a very hard. So we have to showcase our USPs. So we are places where innovation gets stimulated, where the future leaders start their businesses. These kind of USPs of what a co-working space intends to be. This has to be showcased in a way, and the best way to showcase is to collectively showcase this. The exact way of showcasing this was not defined by the Dutch co-working people, and I think it's very hard to think about it in a day. But I think if we all have great minds to think about this. So I think if we take this home and think about a way how we can collectively tell the world, hey, these co-working spaces are being in trouble as well, just as all the other sectors in the world. But we are here to stay. For instance, together with both landlords and members, if we just shout out a voice collectively, this should be it's a very strong idea to now, and I think that's the reason why Nir put us all together. We should in a way find out something to showcase the world what our sector is all about.
Exactly.
Right.
I could not agree more. Exactly what Thom mentioned. And I think this session will not be efficient if it will be like a one-shot, okay? No. Because now it was valuable for me, very interesting, and I was happy, but we need to continue with that. As Thom mentioned, we can go home and think about it, but to join forces and to speak with one voice will definitely can make the change for us, because this industry is within my veins, and I guess within everyone that is over here. And what I'm asking that let's get this ball rolling and maybe have another session like this, maybe invite more people, maybe think about the ways. There are tools, okay? I, for example, have a PR agency over here in Tel Aviv, very professional one. A PR agency in Warsaw, also very professional one. So I can use those tools to make my voice sound, for example. But this is something I think we need to consider and discuss further in another call or whatever. But right. For us to join forces and be united can make the difference.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think it's a word of wisdom, and I think it was a great conversation. I learned a lot. It's a lot of ideas for all the people who are going to watch this conversation. So yes, there is hope at the end of the tunnel. That's for sure. There are a lot of solutions, it's really striking how many solutions and creative action we can do to weather this storm, and at least for the short term. And longer term we'll see, but if it lasts too long, we'll all be dead at the end maybe. So but we won't be that. We will go through that. There is a lot of opportunities for the new era which is opening up, because people indeed will have massively experienced the use of technologies to work remotely, and also figure out that home working is definitely not the best option. So that's if things go right and we cure the situation rapidly enough, and without too many pain, hopefully for all our people and families. But we can come out with very interesting perspective. Thank you so much, guys. Wish you good luck in the coming days. We keep you posted. We will share this video on our channel. Feel free to take it for yourself and share it in your network as well. And yes, let's go further with the conversation soon.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care.
Bye bye.